Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Stott and I'm the Emperor of Stomaria. Today I want to review the Imperial Summit 2023.
This is how nations are built and empires are forged. For every nation that becomes integrated into the empire, for every territory that we acquire, for every citizen that joins us, for every drop of water we collect, for every seed that we sow, for every watt of energy we produce, for every silver bar that we stamp, we are securing our future.
So before I get started on the Imperial Summit 2023, I did want to say that the intro to this video that you've just seen is going to be the intro that we have going forward. And the way I've set it up is that if we do have any more meetings or gatherings or events or any activity of note in the future, I'm going to be going into these introductory aspects of each video, and I'm going to be taking out snippets of the content, and I'm going to be inserting new content where I believe it'll be more relevant. And the idea going forward is that when people first come across Stomaria and they just pick out any random video going forward, they will be able to get a snapshot of what we are all about, the sort of the highlights, if you like, of the empire as a whole. And I know it is quite a long intro at over 2 minutes, but as I say, this is for new people, so new viewers, new potential citizens. This is for them. And so feel free to obviously skip ahead in future videos going forward, unless you want to see what I take out and what I put in which case you'll have to sit through the whole thing. But I don't think it'll be much of a chore for a lot of people, because I quite like the new intro that we have. I think it's quite emboldening and quite dramatic, and it sort of highlights everything that we're doing in a really magnificent way. But the intro to our videos to one side, I wanted to talk about in this video a review of the Imperial Summit, because for those that don't know, and I'm sure a lot of you do, the Imperial Summit was held over the weekend just gone. So it was over the 16th, the 17th and the 18th of June. Now, this marked the 4-year anniversary of the founding of the Empire of Stomaria. But more than this, it was an opportunity for us to bring together as many citizens and supporters of Stomaria and the wider empire as we could. And we were somewhat successful in that. And I say somewhat successful because there should have been, and there could have been, more attendees. That said, over the course of the weekend, we had 15 attendees, not including the 3 little ones. And I say little ones there, sort of range from 2 to 4. so little bubbers. But they quickly formed their own little creche, which was quite sweet. But the actual number of attendees at any one time, I think, was probably 12 or 13, with a few either side of the main day, which was the Saturday, which is where all the speeches, the feasting, the events, the activities, the ceremonies, that all took place on the Saturday. And I want to just walk through the entirety of the weekend, if I can, with you, and just sort of go over what I think was quite good, what I think needed improving, and where we can potentially learn lessons for the next round. And I know King Raoul of Wayward has already taken notes in some form or another, and is going to try to apply a little bit of what we were doing for the end of the month gatherings at Wayward. I obviously don't take credit for that. Everything that we did at the event is quite generic stuff, broadly speaking, but I think it has inspired the Waywardian community to be a bit more active in that way. Not that they're not already, they were the bulk of the attendees, but they have, over the last 6 months or so, they've had their end of the month gatherings, and it's not been quite there yet. It's not been as it was in the pre-pandemic days, because I remember a time where there were lots of people at the Woodland almost all of the time, especially at the end of the month camps, at the end of the month gatherings. But that's kind of died a death a little bit, and this particular weekend that we've just had, I think it was the largest gathering of Waywardians at the Woodland, certainly since 2020. Of that I'm relatively certain, and I'm sure King Raoul will correct me if I'm wrong. But let's get into it. So on the Friday, I took the Friday off so I could come and prepare everything along with King Raoul and various other Waywardians. I wanted to prepare the Woodland for the actual summit. So that was the arrival day. It was where we expected people to arrive in drips and drabs. Now, we did get a couple of people attending on that day, but because of traffic, which became an ongoing problem throughout the entire weekend, people were traveling 6 or 7 hours, if not more, to actually get to the Woodland when it should have been 3, 4, maybe 5 hours. And so there was a massive delay in people actually coming in. It wasn't a massive problem on the Saturday because we were setting up, we were getting ready, and then we were just kind of breathing a sigh of relief and just relaxing and waiting for everything to culminate on the Saturday. And that was the main event on the Saturday. So having set everything up, gotten everything ready, we set up the barbecue, we put up the flags, we put out the tablecloths and all the rest of it. We started the Saturday very well. So we had obviously the attendees that arrived on the Friday. They were there, and then we had another couple of attendees arrive over the course of the day. Now, we started off with the dispatching of the chickens, because for those that don't know, at Southwood and Wayward South, there are chickens. We raise chickens there, we raise livestock. And we thought it would be a good idea to dispatch some of the excess roosters, because obviously they don't really provide anything, in the sense they're not obviously laying eggs, and we already have enough roosters to carry on breeding the chickens and hatching the eggs and all that jazz. So there was an excessive amount of cockerels, and so we dispatched 3 of them. Now, because I did film the entire process, but I'm not going to show you the entire process. I have sent all of this footage to King Raoul, and he may well, in his review, show you all the gorier details. So I'm just going to show you snippets here, so you can get an idea of what happened, but I'm not going to show you the actual dispatching of the chicken. But I will say that it was great to have that as a feature at the feast, which is the next thing that we actually had, because it added to the sense of we are providing this food for ourselves. And a lot of the food on the feast, on the table, that was sourced from Waywardians, it was sourced from Stomarians, it was sourced from even the communities of other nations. I think Dunland, the Commonwealth of Dunland, was a prime example of that. They actually provided jams to us last year, and we managed to hold on to a couple. We were hoping to get some more this year, but because it's not berry season yet, they were unable to provide us with more. But fortunately, we had a couple of jars spare, and so we actually used those for scones, which we did buy the scones, but the clotted cream, for instance, that came from Stomaria. And that's, again, it's just a good way to highlight for us that we can provide a varied diet for ourselves, because almost everything that we had on the table, if it wasn't sourced from Stomaria or wasn't sourced from Wayward, then it was perfectly possible for us to source it. And a lot of it was being grown as we were feasting. So for instance, we didn't source the strawberries, the blueberries, the raspberries. We didn't source some of the fruits and vegetables and some of the meats. But in the at Southwood, we are growing strawberries, we are growing raspberries, we are growing blueberries and all the rest of it. So we are providing for ourselves in a very real and meaningful way. And the spread that we have really emphasize the kind of diet that we could potentially provide for ourselves in the years ahead. And that's a very exciting prospect. And one of the reasons that I chose the fruits, the vegetables, the meats, and the products that I did, because it just went to show what we could do in the future. Now, in terms of the feast itself, the number of attendees by the time I actually got to the feast was a lot lower than I anticipated. It was probably only 6 or 7 by that point. But again, the traffic, for some reason on that weekend, was so horrendous that people were just being delayed longer and longer and longer. And we would have quite happily waited for more people to arrive before commencing the feasting. However, the issue was that we are obviously in the middle of the woods, and anything that was being kept in cool boxes, ice creams, clotted creams, yogurts, they were not going to maintain their integrity for very long. And so having been sat in a cool box surrounded by ice and ice packs and everything I could do to try and keep them cool for, must have been 5 or 6 hours by that point, we decided, right, we've just got to do it. So we had the feast, and that was terrific. And then people, as they came in their drips and drabs, thereafter, over the course of the day, up until it got about 12 or 13 people, they kind of just picked away at not the leftovers such, because there was quite a lot of food, but they weren't there for the main event, and that was the main event of the actual feast, rather, and that was the actual speeches that myself and King Raoul gave just before we had this feast.
First, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for attending this historic event, the first ever Imperial Summit. And I'd especially like to thank King Raoul of Wayward, as well as Scott, Vic, Tommy, and Lil, for being so instrumental in preparing this woodland for this very special occasion. And where better to host the first ever Imperial Summit than here, in this woodland? Not only because many of us have a history here, but because of what this woodland represents. For as many of you know, this woodland territory is not just one territory, it is 2 territories. You have Southwood under Stomaria, and Wayward South under Wayward. And what better way to highlight the vision that we have for this empire than to see Stomaria and Wayward not just figuratively or metaphorically united, but physically and literally united, with Wayward South and Southwood blending into one another and complementing one another. And this is what the Empire is all about. It's about bringing nations, communities, and individuals together in order to accomplish our common goals, trying to attain greater levels of self-reliance and self-determination through legal and legitimate means, trying to establish new societies, new civilizations through voluntary association, and trying to attain a de facto independence, if not legally, then certainly in practice. And with Stomaria, Wayward, Vesta, and many more to come, we are on the right path. And for every nation that becomes integrated into the Empire, for every territory that we acquire, for every citizen that joins us, for every drop of water we collect, for every seed that we sow, for every watt of energy we produce, for every silver bar that we stamp, we are securing our future. And in this day and age, this is how nations are built, and empires are forged. And events like today, meetings, gatherings, and summits, is a fantastic opportunity for us to take a step back, to review our progress, and to celebrate what we have accomplished together. So with that in mind, I would like to pass you on to King Raoul of the Kingdom of Wayward, who himself wants to say a few words.
Firstly, I would also like to extend my thank you to everybody that has come this weekend, especially to Andrew himself, the Emperor, for putting on such a beautiful spread and for inviting the Waywardians to join us here on this day of the Imperial Summit. So I think Andrew deserves a round of applause for that at least. So as the Emperor of Stomaria, he has done a lot of work for his empire, and that does include Wayward itself. So I'd like to remind Waywardians and all people present, Stomarians or Waywardian alike, that this is mainly about two things. Firstly, this is about the longevity of Stomaria, their 4-year anniversary. They've been going just as long as Wayward, but today we are going to recognise the achievements of Emperor Andrew, Empress Samantha, and the Imperial Empire, which is Stomaria. Because 4 years is a long time, and that is an achievement. That is a great achievement. Just like Wayward, we have been growing up through the ranks together, but for Stomaria to go from no land, no community, in 4 years, to grow up as they have done so quickly and swiftly, again, I feel deserves another round of applause. But secondly, it's also about community. As Andrew has already said, it is about community, unity, and as they state in their own national anthem, divided we fall. And that is very, very true when it comes to Wayward and Stomaria. Wayward and Stomaria working together has done nothing but push us forward. It has done nothing but get us to greater heights, and I see in a future progress, growth, and achievement. And that is what I think Wayward has always tried to do, and Wayward has always tried to achieve growth and progress. When I started this all that time ago, I had one aspiration, and that was to build an ark, a boat of some type to rescue the masses who needed more than just 9 till 5. They needed more than just everyday normal lives. They wanted to be outside. They wanted to be self-sufficient. They wanted to be self-reliant. They wanted to be independent. They wanted some level of freedom that can't be acquired while working within a system that doesn't work for its people. Just like Stomaria, Wayward has strived to do the best it can for its citizens. We have strived for self-reliance, we have strived for independence, and every single year we get closer and closer to that goal. I believe with Stomaria's help, side by side, with the community, and all of us present, and the Waywardians and Stomarians, and even the Vestians who have not been able to make it this weekend, we will continue to achieve. We will continue to progress, we will continue to grow, but more importantly, we will reap the fruits from the seeds we have sown. Whether they be Stomarian seeds or Waywardian seeds, whether they be Waywardian fruits or Stomarian fruits, as I have always said, as I will stand by then and now, when one of us prospers, we all prosper. And with that in mind, I feel it is a great time now to enjoy the fruits of the labours, Stomarian produce, Waywardian produce, and enjoy this company that is the community of the Imperial Union, which is Wayward and Stomaria. So with that in mind, I'd like to invite you all to enjoy the feast of this Imperial Summit. Thank you.
Now, after the feast, we actually had a lot more attendees show up in quick succession. And as I say, it got to probably 12 or 13 people at its peak. Now, at that time, we decided that we would begin archery and air rifle competitions, which were a lot of fun. It took a bit of organising, but it was a lot of fun. And it took a lot longer than you would think with only a dozen or so people. But we let everyone have a little practice round and everything, get their eye in, if you like. And I didn't actually participate because I didn't participate initially, I should say, because the winners of the air rifle competition and the archery competition would actually win a prize, and that was a silver Stomarian stater coin. Now, I deliberately did not participate because if the winner of the competition decided that they wanted to double their money, if you like, then they could opt to go against me on a one-on-one. And for my hubris, I lost both competitions. King Raoul actually won the archery against everyone else, and then when he went against me, he crushed me. He really did. I think he got 40 points to my 15 or something like that. So it was not good. The air rifle competition, that was a lot more forgiving. That was against Scott, the Waywoodian again, and he is something of a marksman, I tell you. He and me went at it for a little while. We were doing one shot each, and it was on, alternating rounds. And every time him and me would hit the same areas, we'd get the same points. But on the last round, he got near enough a perfect bullseye, and I couldn't match it. So he won that second coin as well. And these coins were actually given out at the ceremony aspect of the event. I think it was only about 10 minutes long.
So after all of today's activities and festivities, we're now winding down. We've got a few more ceremonial sort of aspects to the day. And the first one on our agenda is the hand stamping of these silver bars. These are plain silver bars, 50 grams, and the Waywoodians have a stamp that was ordered a little while ago. And this is going to be the first time that Waywood is going to be featured on one of these silver bars, which, for those that don't know, is used as a medium of exchange within the Empire. So it's been used to purchase goods and services and all the rest of it. In fact, we actually used a silver Stomarian stater coin just a moment ago to purchase a few things from Vic over there. So another Stomarian Waywoodian exchange there, which was fantastic, and it didn't involve either of us. It was between Vic and Empress Samantha over there. So now for this momentous occasion, because it is a Waywoodian stamp, the first one, King Raoul Halvar of the Kingdom of Waywood has, as you might expect, graciously accepted the opportunity to be the first one to make this. He's practiced with another stamp, so it's not his first time stamping it. It could still go horribly wrong. But you know what they say, if it's not wonky, it's not Waywood. So if it goes horribly wrong, that's the reason why.
Alright, okay. Alright, let's see if... Right, so... What's your phone? Here goes that digit. Well, you should quiet you. Hey! Thank you, Andrew.
Not at all, fantastic stuff. Little off centre, but it's fine.
Oh. Are we doing Vesta?
But, yes.
Yeah.
But in addition to the Waywoodian stamp, Vesta, who probably none of you, except for King Raoul here, will actually know about, is another member state of the Empire. Unfortunately, because they're based in the States, they couldn't be here today. But we do have a stamp for them as well, and so I'm going to do the honours of making their first silver bar using their stamp.
Professional.
Professional at work.
This is how it's done.
There we go. Republic of Vesta. Now, there are also some gifts and handouts I think we're going to be doing.
Yep.
First, I want to hand out the silver Stomaria stater coins that have been won today through the archery competition and the air rifle competition. For my hubris, I now have to give out twice as much as expected. But, so if I can call out King Raoul, first of all, who won the archery competition by a country mile. There you go.
Thank you very much.
2 coins. And of course, Scott, who in a very, very close competition in the final round, but he did exceptionally well, finished off with a bullseye. So you two get 2 silver coins.
Okay.
So well done, everyone. Yeah. Fantastic stuff. Do you want to do your hands up now?
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, I'll go. Right, I got some stuff. How excited! How excited! So excited. Firstly, I'd like to bring Jimmy up. Good old Jimmy. It's Jimmy! Now I'm bringing Jimmy up for several reasons today, actually, because we don't see Jimmy very often. Come over to the camera, Jimmy. Watch this stuff. We'll stand this side. So, firstly, Jimmy partook in a competition, or has been partaking in a competition on the Facebook group. And we haven't had a chance to present him with this yet, but he did win a couple of weeks, well, about 2 months ago. He won this pendant, which is the oak leaf pendant. So that's for you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Now, also as a Patreon of Wayward, all patrons that sign through the Patreon campaign, they do get a special official Waywoodian badge. So that there is for Jimmy as his official Patreon badge, but that is not all. For Jimmy, is also the treasurer officially of the Round Table of Wayward. So his role in Wayward is actually quite significant and important. And as we like to show credit where credit is due, all members of the Round Table do have a golden acorn badge. So Jimmy, that's your golden acorn pin to bring you into the fold. Thank you very much, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's Jimmy, everybody. It's Jimmy. Next up, I would like to bring Steve up to the presentation, because again, with all Patreons of Wayward, you do get an official Waywoodian pin badge. So Steve, thank you for being a Patreon of Wayward. There is your pin badge. Thank you. But there's more. There is more. I'd like to bring Tommy. I'd like to bring Scott, Vicky, and Lily up on the stage, please.
Why are they moving them gallows?
Bring in the guillotine! Now for each one of you guys, your efforts have not gone unrecognised. The Imperial Summit was a huge event, and we have been planning it for a long time, but it would not have been possible without the help of these four. So to recognise that, they will also be presented today with the oak leaf pendant. So that's one for Tommy. Thank you, Tommy. One to Scott. Thank you, Scott. One to Vic. You're welcome. And one for Lily. And thank you very much. Well done, round of applause. And finally, I would like to bring Ellen up to the stage. Now, Ellen may not remember this, but there was a while ago that I signed her up, maybe involuntary, to be the Secretary of State and the Minuteman, or woman, for the Imperial Union. And I did make a claim. It did hurt me to make this claim, because I thought I'm going to have to fulfill this, because you do realise how much I hoard this silver, and I will not let it go easily. But I did say to Ellen, for all her efforts, I will present her with a silver Stomarian stater for the work that she has done in the last few months. So, that is your silver Stomarian stater for being Secretary of State for Wayward and the Minute Woman for the Imperial Union. So thank you very much. And that is the presentation done from Wayward.
Fantastic.
Right? Yeah. I think it's one last thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yes, Bobby, that's your friend. There is just one last thing from me, and that's primarily because Danny felt very bad about this, and has done for a long time. So, what I would like to do, if I can just get you, little Eleanor, to go back to Mummy for a minute, because Daddy's got to get his sabre out. Gonna go around. Go to Mama. There you go.
Now comes the execution.
That's right. King Raoul Halvar, please. So, please take a knee. Right. This can go one of two ways. He's been teaching us how to dispatch chickens, and I've taken notes. King Raoul Halvar of Wayward, as a Stomarian citizen, and in recognition of your service to Stomaria and the wider empire, I hereby appoint you as a Lord of Stomaria. Arise as a Lord of Stomaria.
Thank you very much.
Not at all.
Lovely.
Right.
Brilliant.
I
Lovely.
think that pretty much
That's
concludes
it.
everything, yeah?
That's it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Right, we're done. Now you can actually go back and do things that you want to do.
There will be the Chinese.
After the actual ceremonial aspect of it was over, we largely chilled in the sense that there was a bit more archery, but not competition-wise, a bit more air rifle, but not competition-wise. There was more feasting, and later in the evening we had a barbecue, and it kind of just wound down over the following hours. And that was all fine, because we had done everything that we wanted to do. We wanted to showcase what it was possible for us to do as a collective community. And without Stomaria or without Wayward, the event would not have been as much of a success as it was. We both provided something. We both brought something to the table. And it's turned out to be a wonderful success, and I'm hoping for many more to come. Now, there were a few minor issues. Now, obviously, the traffic and all the rest of it, that was not something that we had any real control over, so people arrived a bit later than expected. However, I did want to see more Stomarian citizens there, and the annoying thing was that we did have 4 Stomarian citizens that had even paid the deposit, so were counted as going. We expected them to be there. But, you know, about 2 weeks and then 1 week towards the actual event itself, for various reasons, they had to drop out and weren't able to attend. And that was very disappointing. Understandable, because these things happen sometimes, obviously. You can't plan every aspect of your life. You can't expect everything to go as smoothly as you want. But it was disappointing, because it ended up the Waywoodians outnumbered Stomarians quite significantly, I have to say. That was, to be honest, it wasn't unsurprising, because the Waywoodian community has always been a lot larger than the Stomarian community. And when I say Stomarian community, I'm talking about Stomaria proper, as opposed to the Stomarian Empire. But nevertheless, out of the sort of 60, 70 citizens that we have within the Empire as a whole, to have, attendance of about, 15, 16, 17 people at the event itself, that is quite a significant percentage of the total population actually attending the event, which is good. I'm just saying it could have been more. It could have been pushing sort of 30, 35% of the total population of the Empire actually congregating in one space. For Stomaria, it's a lot more challenging, because unlike Wayward, who have pretty much all, I imagine, of their citizens, bar maybe 2 or 3, as far as I know, they're all in the UK, and they're all relatively close. Now, compare that to Stomarian citizens, which are predominantly living abroad. I think about 60% maybe of citizens in Stomaria don't actually live in the British Isles, and that's obviously a problem in terms of trying to organise events like this. But it was nevertheless a very good event. I'm glad that everyone that attended said what a success it was, how much they enjoyed themselves, and I think it has raised the bar to a point where we are going to try to take things even further to the next level. And I did have a conversation with Raoul a day or two ago about this, because when I came away from the event, I did feel a little bit deflated, in the sense that I had 3 days where I was genuinely basking in what could be, and the idea that it was over for another year didn't sit right with me. And I started to think of ways in which we could do this more regularly. Obviously, Wayward do have the end of the month gatherings, but the drive just to have something more permanent in place is something that I'm really quite determined to accomplish even sooner than we had originally planned. Not least because, and something I forgot to mention, is that one of the other aspects of this event was the stalls. Now, the stalls that we had were again quite limited, because people were delayed or people couldn't arrive on the main day itself, and so it was quite sporadic. but it was nice to have things on offer, things that people could buy. I know people did buy a few bits and bobs, which was nice. In fact, Empress Samantha purchased some goods at the local market, if you like, from a Woodian no less, using silver Stomarian stater coin. So again, it's just a fantastic thing to be able to talk about and to brag about, because we have a functioning money. People at the event, certainly a few people more than others, were desperate to get their hands on these silver coins and these silver bars that we have been producing, because they love the idea, they love the concept, and they just want to get behind it in a real and meaningful way. And so again, that was just another aspect of the event that was worth mentioning and worth talking about. So I think that, broadly speaking, covers everything that I wanted to discuss regarding the Imperial Summit 2023. It was a fantastic event. There were a few drawbacks, but overall it was a massive, massive success. And I look forward to being able to engage with the wider community within the Empire, the Stomarian community, the Woodian community, the Vestian community, and others to come. And I look forward to bringing all of these people together in one place or in various places, to have the markets, to have the engagements, to have the community really become established and more fixed. And that's what we're aspiring for. And I don't think anyone can question that our aspirations are falling into place. Everything that we have lined ourselves up to do, we are doing it, be it in terms of renewable energies, in terms of agriculture, in terms of taxation, in terms of money, in terms of government, in terms of the actual community itself. We are putting all of these pieces together, and this is plain for everyone to see. And again, I just get excited about the possibilities in the future. And if people do want to get involved, then they certainly should think about joining either Vesta, Wayward, or Stomaria itself, because the opportunities that are out there are many, and I just want to be able to maximize the potential of future events, future summits, and the ongoing everyday lives of everyone involved. So if you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to give it a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll catch you in the next one.